if this is one of the first live streams you have ever caught, this channel is all about producing gold prospecting content, where we show you not only how to hunt for gold out in the bush, but also do cleanups like we're going to do today at home. And today I've got a bit of a treat for you guys. We are running concentrates from the drift mines. Now, if you haven't seen the drift mine series of videos, I will edit the description immediately after this video, and you'll be able to go down into the description and click on a few links, and it will give you a really good idea about where this payday has come from. Now, there is a video also attached to this that is unreleased as of yet. These drift mines are really good fun to work. So 2.6 to 2 million years ago, we had a whole bunch of river gravels come down off the mountains around Beechworth. Now, Beechworth was 600 meters higher than where it currently sits today. And those mountains eroded, and when they eroded, they brought down gold, and they created rivers and channels and deep leads and all sorts of stuff. And this conglomerate is part of that evolution of the area. Now, this conglomerate was worked by the old timers. They took all the topsoil off. The topsoil was mostly a clay base, and when they hit the river gravels, there's a layer of river gravel that's loose sitting on top of the conglomerate, and then you get to the conglomerate itself, which is nothing more than nature's cement. So it's river gravel and clay and mud that has solidified into something very similar to cement. And it's bearing gold. It's carrying gold down off the mountains from when it eroded. Now, the old timers took all the gravel off the top and worked that. The old timers also sunk shafts through the concrete conglomerate to the bedrock, and they took the best pay layer. From what we can tell, the pay layer was about 2 to 3 feet thick, and there are little sections of this left that are still shedding gold. Now, the old timers pulled some of this dirt up and they stacked it up in little piles. And we're talking very small piles here. Again, check out the description after the stream. I'll edit it. You'll get to see the area, and the future video that we're going to release from this area will explain this a lot better. But these little pay piles were left alone, basically because the gold grades obviously dropped off from what they were getting from their really rich part of their pay streak on the bedrock, and they moved to easier pickings upstream. But that leaves a great opportunity for us to come along. We went out with a Highbanker, which is nothing more than a mini wash plant, and we fed 800 litres or 10 wheelbarrows worth of dirt through the Highbanker, and the cleanup we're going to do today is of that. So I'm going to spin the camera around. Get to see the other dirty part of my kitchen. And we're going to show you some of the concentrates. So this is the concentrate here. This is what 800 litres of work was reduced down to. All of this is tin or cassiterite, so it's non-magnetic. And I wanted to show you that on a stream for once. I haven't actually managed to do that yet. This is a strong magnet done by Placid Tools. Now, Placid Tools makes some fantastic pieces of prospecting equipment, and this is one of them. It's a floating magnet, so all you do is you put it in the water, you shake the pan around, and it should collect things like ironstone or magnetite. Now, a lot of people ask me in my videos why I don't remove magnetics, so I'm going to show you. So you can see here that there is nothing but a little bit of rust on the magnet. We'll put the magnet in, and we'll shake it around. And we might get a few pieces, but the vast majority of this, there you go. That's all the magnetics that we pulled out of that. Hardly anything. And that is exactly why we don't run magnets over this stuff. It is not worthwhile at all. Now you can even see some gold just coming out on the edge here. What we're going to do, I'm going to run you through the whole process today. I've skipped a few steps on previous streams just for the sake of time, but today we've got a little bit of time. We're going to show you some of these tools. Now, the first things first, you don't need much to do a home cleanup once you get your cons down to this level. So this has been run through a cleanup sluice. So this is our super concentrates. I had about half a bucket of material. I put that through a cleanup sluice, and that drew out the heaviest of the heavies. And so what we're left with here is our gold and the heaviest, densest pieces of tin and gemstones. So to do a home cleanup now, I'm moving on. I've got a Garrett Super Sluice gold pan. You could use any tub at all. I've got another gold pan underneath it that you could use. We've just filled that half up with water so we can pan down into it. Now I've got a secondary pan here with a little bit of water in it and a classifier. The further you classify your material down when you're working with very small gold, the better. Because the really small gold that's going to come out in this has to fight with this black sand. Now, the small gold's still denser than that tin, but it's also flat. And because it's flat, it's got a lot of surface area. And that surface area creates friction. And so it will not sink through that tin. There's too much friction for it to sink. So what we need to do is classify it down so that the gold is fighting with the same particle size of tin as itself. I hope that's clear. I hope that makes sense. So once we've classified this down, we're going to add a little bit of surfactant to the water. Now, a surfactant is nothing more in this case than a dishwasher liquid rinse aid. It goes on by a whole heap of other names. Now, you could use dish soap as well, and the reason you use this is to break the surface tension of the water. The thing about gold is it's actually hydrophobic. So it repels water naturally. It doesn't like to get wet. And what that means is if you have water that has any level of surface tension or oil or something similar in it, the gold will float on the surface tension. It's the heaviest thing in the pan, and yet it will float around like a little boat, and it's quite annoying. So we put this in there, and that gets rid of that problem. Now, the mesh size that we're screening down to today is 50 mesh. So this is 1/50th of an inch. You can see just by like how very little light comes through, that is a extraordinarily small type. Now that's because this is already being classified down to under 30 mesh. So this is all of this is already under 1/30th of an inch. And we're going to go through 50 mesh and see how much really fine gold there is. Now, there should be a few little flaky bits in there, which will be cool to see, but not too many. So we're going to add some of this surfactant. Now, be very careful with this stuff, guys. I know it's just dishwashing liquid, and that's what a lot of people think, but it's also super toxic to dogs. So don't let your dogs get near the water that's in your cleanup tubs. It's not ideal. Now, we are just going to shuffle some things around here. Okay. So, hopefully we don't overspill, because I might have overfilled that pan just a little bit, but anyway, whatever. So we're going to run all of this through that classifier. Now, I think, look at the gold already. That's gold. All of that there, guys, is gold. All of those sparkles. Dave, no, this is not recorded, mate. I'm just ignoring comments because I have to actually work doing this and I have to pay attention to what I'm doing or I'll stuff it up. So I will be answering questions throughout this, but I like to get the intros out of the way straight off the bat so I don't have to, so I don't make mistakes. And that's it in a nutshell. So I'm not ignoring you because I don't like you or anything. I'm just ignoring you because of practicality reasons at the moment. So again, all of this is gold, all of that. That's not white sands or anything. This is going to be good. This is going to be a good run. And then I can guarantee you once Mick sees this clean up, he's going to be like, let's go back. And I'm going to be like, yes, let's do that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Because I'm a duffer, complete duffer. This bottle, not only is it a snuffer bottle, I actually want it as a squirt bottle, but I forgot to put water in it because like I said, I'm a duffer. That's okay. We're all allowed to make 1 or 2 mistakes a day, right? Get the lid back on. Don't actually have to hold that over there like that anymore. I can screw this on with 2 hands. There we go. All right. Oh, we're going to have a good cleanup. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, won't take too long to push through this amount of concentrates through a 50 mesh screen. This is also why we run cleanup sluices and miller tables and other things like that. It's just because you want to concentrate your concentrates. You want to make as little work for yourself as humanly possible. Look at that. All right, so that's how much we took out. Not heaps, but still worth doing because that way all that really fine gold is not going to have to compete against all that really big black sand. It means I have to use less velocity in the water to pull this stuff out of the pan that would normally wash the really small gold out of that. Okay, now if I am clever, which sometimes I like to think that I have my moments and I am, I can get this over to one side. There we go. This screen is so fine too, it has a tendency to bow up. And then you get this concentration of cons around the outside edge. Slightly annoying. Okay. All right. Just need to do another snuffer bottle wash down of that to make sure that we get all of the gold off the classifier. Which side was it on? That side. That's why we do that. All right. That's about as clean as you're going to get one of these. I'll probably go over that again later and pull out a few little microscopic specks of gold, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Okay, we've got our plus 50 mesh and we've got our minus 50 mesh. Now, which one do you guys want to do first? I know most people want to do the big stuff first, but I'll give you a little hint. Most of the gold's going to be in this one. In the minus, it's going to be flour gold, but there's going to be a lot of it. Or we can do the 50 mesh and see if we get any big pieces. Which one would you guys like to do? Do the big stuff first. That's what Paul wants. 1.4 grams of venture bound. Oh man, that'd be good. All right, everyone wants to do. Ooh, Bill's got the 50 first. Go big, go 50. Man, it's a good mix this time. I don't know. No, okay, we'll do the big stuff. This shouldn't take too long. Now, I won't be able to read the comments for a second, guys, just because I've got it out of the way. Oh, maybe I can. Hang on, I'll set this up. Let's see if I can actually set this up so I can read comments and pan down at the same time. I can kind of read comments. I can vaguely read comments. Keep them short and I might be able to read them. I hope it's more than 1.4. Oh, I love... Look, honestly, with where it actually is, plus the amount of dirt we worked, which wasn't really that much, if we got anywhere around a 0.8, I'd be ecstatic. Alright, we're panning real slow. Now, for those of you who might be joining us for the first time or have not seen one of these and don't understand the process, this is everything over 1/50th of an inch and under 1/30th of an inch. Now, this is our big material. And because it's big, it means that the water doesn't need much energy. I just lost a flake then. Oh well. The water doesn't need much energy to pull off these big round pieces of tin. But you still got to go quite slow because the gold likes to do a thing called boating, where it will still catch the water surface tension, even though we've got surfactant in there, and it will get pulled off with it. So we just got to take our time. You could use a blue bowl, you could use a miller table. Next month I'm going to order a miller table as well, just so I can do this a little bit easier. Look at the gold coming out here already. Can you guys see that? This is the oversize. They're nice flakes too. They're kind of orange because they've got iron staining on them. Now you take it really nice and slow. What you really want to do is spread that black sand out as far as you can on the edge of your pan. And then you want to lift and dip with a little bit of a space, because see this flake here, right there's a flake. If that flake moved to say here, it would give me time to dip the pan back and stop it from going over the edge. It's all about patience. Like, a lot of people think the hardest part of gold prospecting is the actual extraction of the gold itself out of the ground, going out with a Highbanker. And whilst it's hard work, like you're digging huge holes sometimes, and you're also packing in heavy machinery over long distances, this requires a lot of patience, a lot of persistence, and the development of some skills. And the only way you're going to do that is taking time. You can't shortcut it. It's not very easy to shortcut. Even using things like blue bowls and miller tables, there's still a level of finesse to it. And even I'm finding this black sand right now is super dense. Like, normally the big stuff moves a lot easier than this is actually moving. It's not wanting to do much at all. Like, we got rid of a little bit of it. We might actually have to do the other stuff like a teaspoon or so at a time, just because there is a fair amount of -50. I was expecting to pull a little bit more plus 50 out of it. I was hoping to reduce it that little bit. And if that fine stuff's just as dense as this, we are going to be in for a hell of a journey getting it down. The next stream I'm going to do cleanup wise, I've got a special one coming up with the cleanup sluice. So I'm looking forward to bringing you that. It should be an okay cleanup too, looking at the gold that's in that dirt. So if you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future streams or videos. Just my shameless plug there for the channel. And I've also got a super special announcement for the 100,000 subscribers celebration that you guys are going to be able to get involved with. That video is coming up real soon. Anyone in the world is going to be able to get involved, and it's literally got the opportunity, the potential, the possibility of changing history. So I hope you guys will stick around for that one. Keep your eye out for it. I am really excited to bring it to you, but I want to make sure that everything is right just before I launch it, because it's a pretty big and ambitious project encompassing the whole world. If I had Mr. Beast budget, it'd be a bit easier, but I don't. I live on a gold prospector's budget, which fluctuates wildly. And again, guys, I can't read comments at the moment. I've actually kind of got to pay attention to what I'm doing here. We're pretty close to being able to just flip it back, I reckon. Because we got rid of the bulk of it. Okay, let's just try and flip some of this back. Now, there's a little bit too much in there, so I'm not going to be able to reveal this 100% properly. But here we go. This is our plus 50 mesh. Oh man, this black sand, this is nasty stuff. Normally it's not this hard. This is real tricky. It just right, we haven't got it down far enough. That's annoying. Okay, try the swirl technique. So the swirl technique, if you start out level and you start the water swirling, and then you tip your pan forward and you kind of roll the pan while you're swirling, you get the gold coming out the top edge just there. Even that didn't work. Normally that works really well. Damn. All right, there are some nice tasty chunky flakes in there, but this would give most people a headache, I reckon. It was fun watching Shane do his DT pay dirt bag, watching him fight with this black sand. He panned it 3 or 4 times, I believe, and was still pulling gold out of it. And that's just the story I've got as well. The amount of effort you go into to pull most of your gold out on your cleanups, you can be real careful, spend a lot of time doing it, and you will still drop gold. Like I've seen 1 or 2 flakes go over the edge, and this is the big stuff. So when it comes to the small stuff, we're going to lose a lot more. But we're going to run it all through a mercury retort at a later date. Man, this is just the big stuff too. Man, this is the small stuff. I've got this ominous feeling that small stuff is going to absolutely fight me. Can you see how it's not moving? Like normally, I don't know, some of you guys will have definitely seen some of my other cleanup videos, and you will have seen that I can get down more concentrates of this exact same material quicker. And this stuff from the drift mines is just not shifting. I'm blown. And on top of that, these big flakes are really wanting to float on me. Like normally I don't have this much issue with floaters trying to escape. Oh, look at that. See that bit? He just tried to get away. And he was in the black sand when he took off. All right. I like a challenge though. Bit of a fight. Why not? Alright, maybe that's enough, because like we haven't got much in the pan. I've got gold everywhere. It just wants to float down the bottom. Ah, there we go. We use the shake method. Spread it all out. Tap, 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 tap. I'll try that again. Ah, that's the best I could do for you guys. I'm sorry, but this is fighting me. So this is our plus 50 mesh. Not that much. This is never, like this area is a flower gold area. So this is pretty respectable in the plus 50 mesh. but it's definitely not where our majority is going to be. I would hazard a guess we're going to get a lot more of that in this pan here. Now this pan should be interesting. Let's see how hard it fights me. Let's just see. Those blonde sands should come straight off, I hope. Look at the gold at the back. I've only just tipped it forward. Look at this. See that? All that's gold. All that and all that. And all I've done is tip it forward. So this is what I was talking about before with friction. The gold, even when it's this small, when you look at it under a macro lens or a microscope, the pieces are really flat. And they just don't sink through the black sand. They get caught up on the friction and they don't want to move. And so you can't just shake all the gold to the bottom and pan down. You have to continuously stratify and just take the very, very top layer off. And you never want to take from the back. You always just want to take that very front edge and keep a super careful eye out. Most people think that when you're panning down, you'd have to look here in the black sand, but we don't care about the pieces of gold that are in the black sand. This is why you give yourself a little bit of space. We're actually looking just here. The second you see a piece of gold, you stop and you re-stratify, because that piece of gold is making a beeline for the edge of your pan and it's going to go out in your tailings, and you don't want that. So keep your eye forward of your black sand. Now, I don't think you guys will be able to see the very, very, very small pieces of gold that are trying to get away from you when I start re-stratifying. I think also a 100 mesh screen would help. Like a 100 mesh screen, there's a lot of gold in this area that's under 100 mesh. So even at 50 mesh, you're still making very small gold compete with quite large particle sizes of black sand comparative to itself. I should mention as well, another shameless plug, we have got our monthly patron draw that is about to happen. We're giving away a bug assault gun and a Gold Pro scoop that you may have seen me use in one of my recent episodes. Pretty damn cool piece of engineering, that scoop, and they're worth like 35 bucks plus shipping. So if you want to jump over onto Patreon, it costs literally $1, just so you can enter that comp. And then you can always unsubscribe if you don't want to keep paying that $1. This isn't fighting me as hard. It seems like, I think the problem was in the other, in the plus 50 mesh, was that the pieces were so flat that the gold wanted to float down before I could get the enough energy in the water to shift the black sand down, to shift the tin. And so that may have been our problem. I'm still waiting for some illegal New York gold too. Oh, you will remain nameless. I will be definitely putting it on the channel though. An anonymous donor. Just one flake. Doesn't have to be big. Unweighable flake. Just so I know. Just so I've got one piece of stolen New York gold. I'll be like, haha, take that, New York. What are you going to do about it? Come to Australia? You're going to fight me and all my kangaroos? Bet you're not. God, I talk some crap. Still, I'm getting a lot of gold migration in this. Like, the black sands are moving way easier, which is exactly what we wanted, but damn, is that gold just coming straight to the front. It'd be good to finally have this done too, because I'm sure Mick and Gadsy are absolutely gagging to know how much gold was in this. And again, guys, I can't read comments just at this second, so if you are asking questions and whatnot, I do apologize. I'm not intentionally ignoring you. I've just got black sands to argue with. I'm conducting a physics experiment at the moment. Experiment. Did I say experiment or experiment? I don't know. It's been a day. It's been a hell of a day. I was going to do this at like 10:30, but that did not happen. there's this one flake of gold. I've seen it like there. It's right there. I've seen it like a dozen times. It just wants to sneak forward. I really don't like that piece of gold. I'm going to give that piece of gold to Mick. I'll be like, look after it. Teach it some manners. Consider the bottom of a jar for the next couple of decades. Learn its lesson. Hey, we're getting a good run here. Ooh, got two pieces. Nah, they're moving. We had a good run then. That was good. All right, let's try and get that one again. Sometimes I challenge myself to count seconds. Like, how many seconds can you pan down for before you get gold shifting to the front? Little piece trying to run away. I'm not a huge fan of these small Garrett pans for prospecting, but man, for cleanups, they are absolutely perfect. There's something about the curvature of these pans that does fantastic. It does real well at just lending itself to panning down like this. Oh, no. We just started. You can go back down there, and I'm going to keep panning down. Pretty sure one of my moderators is coming down in the very near future, Debbie, and we're going to take her to Reedy Creek, and she is going to get to fight this firsthand. I should film the entire thing. Make a Debbie montage, arguing with Reedy Creek's heavies. What do you reckon, Deb? Not that I can see your comments. I'm just going to imagine. You're going to be like, hell yeah, I'm excited. I'm starting to see gold come out throughout the black sands here, which is also a good indication of how much gold we actually have in this pan. Well, just a bit of a sneak peek. Yeah. That's looking all right. That's looking all right. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be north of a gram or not. Either way, it's going to be cool gold to own. Mostly because of where it came from. Like those drift mines, as far as I can tell, I haven't seen any modern workings up there. Like not even detector holes, right? The whole area is pretty much untouched since the gold rush days. And we've started to identify these pay piles, and they are everywhere. And they look really innocuous, like they're not these obvious piles of dirt. And once we clued into what they were, which was these little scraped up leftover pay piles, we started finding like anywhere between, at the lower end, sort of 10 to 15 specks in them. And usually those piles were mostly made up of classified rock. You could kind of tell that they'd set a classifier up, a big one, and run it through that area, and you were getting like 10 to 15 specks out of it. To the other end of it, where you'd find these piles of pay dirt near one of the exits to their drift mines. And when you'd find one of those pay piles, the spec count would go 50, 100, really decent. Now this one was averaging, I think, around 30 to 40 pieces per pan from memory, which is pretty good. Like 30 or 40 pieces of gold per pan. It's only small, it's only fine, but it adds up very quickly at that sort of spec count. And we were getting a pretty decent capture rate too. When we tested tailings, we were losing maybe 1 or 2 pieces per pan, like so per tailings pan. So when you compare that to 40 or 50 at the start, when you do your original test pans, that's a respectable loss rate considering we were high banking out of a puddle, recirculating water and having to run hydrophobic dirt. We were pretty dang happy with that effort. Now, a little trick I learned from our Indonesian friends. So you get your finger at this point and you just spread it out. And then you pan off. And it just opens the gold up and you end up shifting a lot more black sand a lot easier. when you start getting down to the very end like we are here, it clumps together and it just doesn't want to move as well, especially with how fine the particles are. It turns into almost like a clay. And so by shifting that black sand out across the surface of your pan, you reduce the thickness and everything moves that little bit easier. The only problem is you do introduce some oils from your hand, which is not ideal. So the balance. Yeah, stop floating. I just glanced down at the screen and I saw someone talking about stuff we don't talk about on this channel. So this is your one and only warning. We do not do news, current events. We only do prospecting and mental health on this channel, guys. Keep the chat clean. First and only warning. Because the world is full of enough misery. And this is happy time. Now I'm looking forward to getting back there because we've just had a 3-day storm with a heap of rain. I'm talking like a heap, just like ridiculous storms. And there will be water everywhere up there. And I've just modified my Highbanker matting. Now, the reason I modified my Highbanker matting was because I'm kind of under the impression that the miner's moss works really well to a point, but as soon as it fills up, it turns hard pack, and I don't think it doesn't stay fluid, and it doesn't allow extra material to sink in. And I've been talking to a few very well seasoned prospectors that have decades of experience, and I'm seeing what they're using in their Highbankers, and I have changed my matting system to match theirs, and I want to go back up there because I know this gold is hard to catch, and I'm going to retest some of it. I'm going to probably rerun my tailings first to see how much gold we actually blew out. I think that would be a very interesting test to do because I know we were losing some, and then it'd be cool to rerun some more of these piles and see if we could improve on that catch rate. We're getting down to the pointy end. Oh, God, gold right on the edge. Get back. We're getting down to the pointy end. Perhaps. That might be too much, but we're going to try. We're just going to try and reveal some of it, guys. You ready? Are you ready? Here we go. Oh, I hope you guys can see the gold coming out in the center. It's always good when you get like a nice respectable amount, but you can see how it doesn't settle under the black sand, it settles on top of it. Oh, I've got so much more cleaning to do with this gold. Yeah, there's still too much black sand in there, guys. I can't show it to you properly. There's some of it. That's where we got it to, so all of that's gold. That's not too bad, but we've got to take more black sand off. I can't peel it back yet. It's still mixing too much. Oh, yeah. Now, if you haven't already, guys, and you're watching the stream and you're enjoying some of the content, please consider hitting the like button. If you absolutely hate my content, please consider hitting the dislike button. Both of those things help my channel grow, reach more people, spread more love and joy and prospecting around the world. That's what we want to do. It's all about bringing us all up. We do this for fun. We do this for enjoyment. We spend time with our families. We spend time reconnecting with ourselves doing this. And I would love for that to spread as far as it could. There is far too much misery and hate and suffering going on in the world at the moment. And I'm a little bit sick of it for one. So please consider hitting one of those buttons and help spread it just that little bit more. Now I've hit the stage. I love this stage. it's this weird stage. Okay, so we've been fighting with the black sand, and we had quite a bit of it. Like you can see, we've shifted through a lot. We've had quite a bit of black sand, and it's been a struggle. But now we've hit this, like, there's this sweet spot near the end every time where the black sands just like to peel off. I don't know what it is or why it does it, but it gets really easy for a little bit just to get rid of the black sands. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference at all, but there's a lot more black sand moving down the pan for the same amount of effort, and the gold isn't shifting as much. And then the honeymoon period will end soon, and it will be an absolute nightmare. The last stuff in the pan, these white sands, there could be a whole heap of different things from lead, and I can't remember the name of half the other ones, but there's a lot of other minerals that are kind of white in appearance, and they tend to be extraordinarily heavy, and they love hanging out with the gold. All right, we're almost there, guys. We're all being very patient. We're almost there. I'm super glad I started doing these streams too, because one of the most common questions I get is how do you clean up? And it's really hard to explain this to someone in text. That it just, no matter what machine you buy, you usually end up doing this somewhat to guarantee that you don't have too much loss in your cleanup. Sneaky little pieces. I bet you can't see them, but they are very small pieces, and they get to about here on the pan. I've got to reshake it all back down to the bottom. Spread it out. Come on, spread. No. Oh, God. There was like 10 specks at the front then. That was a bad spread. So the honeymoon period's over, I believe. Okay, we've taken a little bit more off. Nah, we can take more off. We're gonna do this properly. We're gonna do it properly. This is that patience thing. Just arguing with my own brain. Because I want to see the gold, but I know if I take a bit more off, it will reveal better. So we're gonna take more off. And it gets to a point after that honeymoon period where lots of black sand comes off that you can literally just rock it back and forth, and it's a lot easier to separate doing that than it is panning off the sidewall here. And that is because the water tends to come in and hit the back edge, and the back edge is where you've got these little accumulations of pure gold. And it seems to be when gold is surrounded by nothing else other than other gold, it gets really hydrophobic and it loves to float, and that's what makes panning it down at the last bit really difficult. All right, we might be there. That'll do. All right, guys, beta breath. Are you ready? Tap, 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 tap. Oh, first of all, I'll bring it out to the camera. Can you see that? Hell yeah. All right. Man, that's mostly gold. That is mostly gold. Like, there's still a fair amount of black sand, don't get me wrong. But normally you don't see that much that early. That's pretty good. Look at that. Oh, we did all right. We did okay. That's good. All right. So again, it's under 50 mesh. So there's probably, like, there's heaps of specs there, but there's probably not that much weight. I'm going to guess a 0.6, maybe a 0.7 with some of the bigger stuff in there. That would be my guess. Flip you guys around. Ooh, yeah, okay, we got some glitching going on in the stream. That must mean my camera is getting hot again. Well, it is by the feel of it. That's probably, I've discovered that's what the problem was. So there you go, guys. That's what we ran 10 80-litre wheelbarrows. And that's the result from the drift mines. Now, obviously, full video coming out, you'll see everything we did, and I'm pretty excited to actually bring you that video because I think it's a cool part of history that we get to participate in, and it's not common to be able to do that. I know there's a heap of people here. Just with my camera, it seems to be okay. We'll go for a little while. Let's do some Q&As. If you've got questions that you want answered about anything that's in this stream that you just saw, or if you've got other prospecting questions, we even open up to maybe a little bit of mental health stuff if you do have questions regarding that. And we'll just do that for the next little bit. I don't know, let's give it 10 minutes. So we'll be up to the 50-minute mark then. And I shall enjoy a nice, refreshing black water. Not sponsored. Can you smelt the tin out? That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe, because obviously the tin and the gold melting temperatures would be different. So I'm going to go with the answer is maybe, but perhaps MMLLBC, I think, prospecting, he'd probably actually have the answer. Sluice mats, which is best for fine gold? That's a really good question, man. Look, I've had success with a lot of different mats. Probably the worst mat that I had was the Gold Hog mat. I couldn't get it to work consistently on fine gold. It does work, absolutely it works on it, but it was just a little bit more temperamental. So that was probably the one that I would avoid if you're not willing to put in the effort on setup. Personally, I have been loving my expanded mesh over miners moss because that seems to work in 90% of situations just great. Again, it's a little bit temperamental. You have to make sure you keep an eye on how much black sand is getting accumulated in there. If you're having to deal with a lot of black sand like they do in Washington, I would be more looking towards Dream Mat. Dream Mat's probably the most consistent for any dirt that is clear of clay and silty soil. So you really want like clean river wash. That's where it's at for Dream Mat. If you can get clean river wash, then you're going to have really good results on sucking the flour gold out. So that's like even beach sands, there's no clay in it, and there's no muck that will boggle the cells up and stop the gold from getting sucked down into the cells. So that's my take on it. I personally expanded mesh over moss for 90% of situations, excluding heavy black sands. All right, I gotta go for more questions. I've got a really small screen here, guy. So just whenever I see a question come up, that's when I'll do it. John Brown, hi Chris, sorry I'm late. Oh bro, you missed the cleanup. You'll have to rewind and watch it because it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty damn good, man. Mercury absorbs tin. Really, Dave? That's interesting. So, but that would complicate things because obviously it's nothing but gold and tin in my pan. So how would that work? I don't know how that would work. I'm not sure that would be a good idea. I don't think I'm going to try. We're just scrolling up. Do you know what happened to mine that gold? Nah, bro, I don't. Sorry. Am I going to be traveling to Canada again? I have got no plans to travel in the near future, but I believe Paul is coming over sometime next year. So he'll be coming here. So BC will be visiting me, which is kind of cool. Do beards help find gold? Depends on why you're growing the beard. If you're growing it because you're lazy, no. But if you're growing it out of sheer willpower because those things get really itchy, then yes. I'm not visiting Paulie over in BC, bro. From what this is super loose plans, and I'm not going to announce like a whole bunch of stuff, but the super loose plan is that border restrictions permitting, he will be hopefully coming over in the new year, and we will be hanging out for a period of time. But that's the super loose plan. There's a lot of stuff, obviously, with the way the world is at the moment that goes into that. So that could change. The special, okay, now see we're learning about tin smelting. I just literally bought a little while ago a crucible and a smelting kit that I wanna do. I've got to set it all up. That's just something that's a future plan. These things take money and time to do. So there's a special smelting pot that sucks the tin out. So I'm guessing you Cupellin tin. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some reading about this now. I'm interested in that. Do you find silver? There is a silver content in this gold. So Reedy Creek gold sits around 97% pure. It's one of the most pure golds in the entire world. So the other elements in it, there's a really high percentage of silver within that 3% that's left over. And I believe there's a little bit of copper, which makes up the last part of it. But yeah, most of that is gold. So it's running 22 carat plus. And yeah, there's a little bit of silver, but no native silver. This native silver is actually really rare. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of native silver, in terms of finding it like this, like in nugget placer kind of form, is really rare. Most of it's locked up in, I think, sulfides, and it has to be extracted chemically. That's my understanding of it. I could be wrong with that, so just take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, silver's pretty cool. Like, I could get into it if there was silver around here. We're just scrolling up on comments too. Do I like my spring wheel? What's my spring wheel, bro? I don't have a... Do I have a spring wheel? I don't know what a spring wheel is. How about uranium? Steve, you may know Steve. He was a uranium exploration geologist for a time. Yeah, that's awesome. So hang on, where's that comment gone? Reg, there is a ton of natural silver in Ontario. They're pulling out large chunks from tailings piles. There you go. So like, I know that there is native silver that you can find like that. I just know that it's rare. And so that's clearly one of the places they pull it out. What type of cleanup sluice am I using? So if you caught any of my Facebook streams, don't beat me up in the comments. I know some of you don't like Facebook. That's not my problem. I use Facebook to do a lot of streaming and communicating with fans. It's the easiest platform to do it, and I've been doing a lot of cleanup streams on there, and I've been using the VDR cleanup sluice at the moment. My testing, I'm impressed. So I've got it set up with an 800 gallon an hour pump. I've got it set up with a bilge pump and a battery, and a speed controller, and it is producing some fantastic results. When I hand panned the tailings bucket down to make sure I had a good firm grasp on the setup, to make sure I wasn't blowing gold out at a ridiculous rate. And what I thought I was doing was stripping runs. So I would run all of the concentrates through at a 1/8 inch classification, and then collect the cons that came out of that. And I expected that the cons were going to have probably 25% of my really small gold. Again, making small gold fight against big particles is not a great idea. But I found, out of the entire cleanup, all of the tailings in the entire cleanup, I found maybe 20 to 25 tiny little flakes and a couple of flat bits that are difficult to catch anyway. So that VDR cleanup sluice is doing a really good job. You've got to remember that my concentrates, my bucket of concentrates that I ran through, is the product of 3, 4, 5 cleanups on the creek. That's a lot of highbanking, right? That's 1,000 litres of dirt, and I ran it all through that cleanup sluice, and I only lost maybe 1 pan's worth of gold. And that was pretty straightforward and easy to recover even that gold. So the VDR sluice has impressed me immensely. I think they're only like $150, but you've got to provide your own plumbing, so your own hoses and your own pump. I was happy with the VDR sluice, but I'm also running DreamMat microcell. DreamMat microcell, mint. For cleanups, oh my God, DreamMat microcell is the duck's nuts. It is fantastic. But I've also got a blue bowl. The blue bowl I like. I got that from Reed's Prospecting. They hooked me up with this setup, and I have enjoyed using it. It's super efficient, but it's also super fiddly when it comes to water pressure. I understand sluices now quite well, and I've discovered that the blue bowl is a little bit more temperamental, and it just takes that little bit more tweaking than a cleanup sluice does. I'm I've got on order a miller table because I want to try that process. I already understand sluicing. This is just a version of very slow speed sluicing. And I think that once I run it through the VDR mat and you saw the concentrates that we did today, that's what I'd come out with. I could take those concentrates and put it on the miller table and get a really nice fine result. And I think with a little bit less effort than what I go through hand panning it down. So that's sort of my complicated cleanup system, and I use different ones depending on the soil and the cleanup that we have to do. All right, we're gonna answer one more question, guys. Just gonna scroll down. Ah. So now's your chance. I've just got back down to the bottom of the comments. Well, I can answer that one quickly. Are you guys prospecting? No. No, I haven't tried the rubber band at the top, but what I did do is rub sandpaper on the bottom of the blue bowl to scuff it up like you would with a pan, and that made a huge difference. You should build your own millers. No. Don't call me Spud Engineering for nothing. Alright. Larry, did you see? No, I haven't seen yours, bro. I have not. Send me a link. I'll have a look. Love the old school lockers. Yeah, $50, man, from a school. They were getting rid of them. Not bad. Alright, there we go. Snakes. I like that. Guess time. Last question. How many snakes have you encountered in the wild, and have you ever been bitten by a snake? Man, the answer to that question is I see heaps every time we go out. We see snakes. Australia has 25 of the most venomous snakes in the whole world, including the top 10. I just literally yesterday put Fern through snake avoidance training so that she doesn't go for them. And it's a good thing we did that because she has a really high prey drive, super high prey drive. And by the end of the session, she didn't want anything to do with snakes, which was really good. And I've got a little video coming out on Facebook that's only a few seconds long, but it's of the eastern brown snake, which is the second most venomous snake in the world. It will, it will clinically F you up if you're in the bush. You're probably not going to make it back out because they work intramuscular. So the toxin gets put in your muscle. It doesn't get transported by blood. It gets transported by the movement of your muscles. So if you had to walk out of the bush, it would pump it around your body. So the best way to fight it is to lie still. But most of the places we go have absolutely no reception and ain't no one coming to rescue you. So that snake in particular we see almost every time we go out in the springtime, and then throughout summer we will see them quite regularly. Full on. I've got more information actually coming up on that, and most of it will be on Facebook. I'll probably put a post up on YouTube as well through the community tab. So if you haven't checked out the community tab on YouTube, probably something worth doing too, because we put up a lot more information and talk about other things outside of prospecting on that community tab. So check that out. Right, we're going to leave it there, guys. We're at 53 minutes for the live stream. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you don't want to miss out on any of the future adventures or the full video where we pulled this gold out from, please consider hitting the subscribe button. A like tells me if you enjoyed it. A dislike tells me if you didn't like it. So hit either one of those keys. Either one helps me out massively. We've got the Patreon draw coming up at the end of the month for the Gold Pro Scoop and the Bug Assault gun. If you would like to win one of them, it only costs $1 to jump on Patreon, so you can do it for 1 month, get involved in the competition, and then cancel it. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions, and until next time, I'm going to hit that stop button. Peace. Give your dog scratch for out. Scratch behind the ear for a week. Goodbye. Yeah. Oh man, can I even? Man, my phone is overheating, eh? Oh, she's spicy hot. Saying goodbye is complicated. Okay, goodbye, guys.